All right, welcome. Today we're diving into a really fundamental shift, something that's taking climate change from, a line item in a sustainability report and putting it right at the very core of business strategy. We're talking about IFRS S2, the new global standard for climate-related disclosures. And for all you small and medium-sized businesses out there, listen up, because this is not just another regulation to follow. It's actually a roadmap to building a more resilient, more future-proof company. Let's get into it. So this is really the central question that IFRS S2 is asking every single business leader. When you think about climate risk, is it just a report you file once a year and then forget about? Or is it a living, breathing part of how you operate, how you make decisions every single day? The standard is making it pretty clear which one it wants you to be. So to make sense of this, we're going to walk through 5 key steps. We'll start with the big picture why, then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of actually building the process, and then we'll wrap up with the most crucial step of all, proving that everything is working together seamlessly. Okay, let's start at the beginning, because before we dive into the how, we have to be absolutely crystal clear on the why. If you understand the end goal of all this, it makes every other step just make a lot more sense. Just take a look at the language here. This is pulled straight from the standard. The key takeaway is not just about making a list of your climate risks. It's all about showing how your process for climate risk is a totally integral, inseparable part of your company's bigger overall risk management system. That word, integrated, that's the whole ballgame. Now, this is how you get to that integration. The good news is you're not inventing a brand new wheel here. This follows a classic 4-stage risk management lifecycle. So let's break down what IFRS S2 expects from you at each of these stages. All right, let's kick things off with step 1, identification. This is all about building a really comprehensive inventory of every potential climate-related issue that could possibly affect your business. And that means both the bad stuff and the good stuff, the dangers and the potential upsides. So IFRS S2 gives us 2 big buckets to think about. On one side, you've got your physical risks. These are the tangible things, right? Like a huge storm that shuts down your supply chain. But on the other side, you have transition risks. This could be anything from a new carbon tax that drives up your costs to a massive shift in what customers want that makes your old product obsolete. You've got to be looking at both sides of this coin. And here's where it gets really interesting. It's not good enough to just list out the risks. You have to actually pull back the curtain and show your homework. What data sources are you using? Are you using scenario analysis to game out what the future might look like? And hey, remember, this isn't just about playing defense. You also have to show how you're actively searching for the opportunities, like creating new sustainable products or finding new markets. Okay, so now you've got this big list of potential risks and opportunities. The next step is a big one, figuring out which of them actually matter most. This is where we get into assessment and prioritization. IFRS S2 gives you a nice framework for this. For every single item on your list, you need to ask a few simple but powerful questions. What kind of risk is this, really? How likely is it to happen? And if it does happen, how big of a deal is it going to be for our bottom line? Is this a next quarter problem or a 10 years from now problem? And here we are again, back at that central theme of integration. You are not just ranking climate risks against other climate risks in some kind of silo. Nope. The standard requires you to weigh them against all the other risks your business faces. Your financial risks, your operational risks, market risks, the whole shebang. It forces you to take a truly holistic view. So what does this look like in the real world? This is a great practical example. A company might say, you know what? Any risk at all that could increase our supply chain costs by more than 15% is automatically a high priority. Now, using that clear quantitative rule, a massive flood at a key supplier, that's a climate risk, gets ranked as high priority. In fact, it's logically ranked higher than a minor logistical hiccup, which is a standard operational risk. This is the kind of clear-eyed, data-driven, integrated thinking that IFRS S2 is pushing for. Which brings us to monitoring. And this is a really critical point. Risk management is not a set-it-and-forget-it task that you do once a year. It's a continuous cycle. It's meant to be woven right into the fabric of your business. You have to be able to explain how you're keeping tabs on these risks day in and day out. But it's not just about watching the risks themselves. You also have to show that your process is getting smarter over time. Did you find better data this year? Did you tweak your criteria for what counts as a high-priority risk? The expectation here is that you're always learning, always improving. So, this brings us to the final
and I'd argue most important piece of the puzzle, proving that this whole thing isn't just a paper exercise, that it's a truly integrated part of how you actually run your business.
Let's look at the specific wording again. It asks for the extent to which and how your processes are integrated. You should think of this as your final exam. It is not enough to just say, oh yeah, it's all connected. You have to show your work. What are the specific meetings, the reports, the dashboards that connect what you've learned about climate risk to your overall business strategy? And that is the bottom line. True integration means that the insights from your climate risk work aren't just collecting dust in a report somewhere. They are on the table. They are actively being discussed when you make your biggest decisions about corporate strategy, about financial planning, about the very future of your company. So as you think about your own business, here's the final question I'll leave you with. Does your disclosure truly prove that this is integrated? Or does it just document a process that's happening off to the side? Because when it comes to IFRS S2, there's really only one right answer.